Hi everyone, welcome. So today we are going to learn how to answer some tough questions during a job interview. In a job interview, you may be asked tough questions. Well, these tough questions usually vary widely between industries. But of course, there are always some commonly used questions that the employers used to learn more about you as their candidates. So I will show you 5 examples. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna ask you, how would you answer these questions? It's a little bit tricky to answer them on a queue, right? So we will focus on 3 most common questions that the employers usually ask in a job interview. So they are talking about weaknesses, strengths, and employment gap. So in the next 3 slides, we will discuss how to answer them well. All right, first thing first, to answer what are your weaknesses questions, you can start by mentioning a real weakness and then add an example of this from your past. And to end your answer, add example from the resume, how you overcame this weakness. So as the example, instead of saying, I'm a procrastinator, you can say, I've always been a procrastinator. I used to think it wasn't such a bad habit because I was only creating stress for myself. But when I was working for XYZ company several years ago, I was on a group project where I could see how my putting things off to the last minute created stress for everyone else. It was a wake-up call. I started creating daily schedules that hold me accountable to my team, and I broke the habit. It was hard at first, but using the agile process was a real breakthrough in my workflow and mindset. So this is actually very important to explain about your weakness clearly. Why? Because you can show to the employers or to the company that you know a lot about yourself and you are willing to learn and become a better person, learning from that experience. Okay, now we tackle the weakness question. How about the strengths question? Surprisingly, it is more difficult for many people to talk about their strength since, it's a challenge to balance between the humility and, of course, the need to show that you are confident. So let's take a look at this pattern. As the starter, let's start by mentioning a quality you want to highlight, ended by an example of how this quality benefits you. And of course, you should close it with how this quality will benefit the hiring company. So you can change your I'm an organized person answer to I never miss a deadline. I'm highly organized and I've applied my natural skills for organizing people and projects to all aspects of my work. After 7 years of working as a project manager, I've had only one late product launch. From that experience, which took place 3 years ago, I learned a crucial lesson about trade-offs. I spent time addressing a crucial design need, and that pushed everything else back. I wouldn't trade the lessons I learned from that experience for anything. Being sure to communicate to stakeholders about upcoming roadblocks, chief among them. So, the same as the weaknesses, it is also important to explain your strengths clearly and well. Why? Because by explaining your strengths clearly, the employers could see your strong points, and of course, they can see how it will benefit for the company. And of course, we want to get hired by the company, right? All right, now the most dreaded questions during an interview. So there might be some gaps in your resume. Let's say after you finish your study or between employments. Well, it could cause for concerns if you don't explain these gaps well. And let's see here. You can start by mentioning the dates you were working. But be honest when you explain why this gap happens. Remember, honesty is also one of the qualities that employers look for from their candidates. And the last but not least, stay positive and confident. So let's imagine if you were laid off by your previous company, you can say something like, it was in 2017 when I had been working with my previous company for 3 years. My former employer underwent a restructuring that resulted in my position being eliminated. To be honest, it was a difficult time, but I left with the confidence that I had developed important skills there and built strong relationships with my managers and colleagues. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to apply those experiences in my next jobs. Why is it important to explain it carefully? Again, it is to show that you are willing to come back stronger from something that were negative for you. It is also show that you don't give up. And it is a quality that everyone's looking for. Okay, so how is it? Still nervous for your interview? It's natural actually to feel anxious before the interview. But well, as these tips show, by preparing well and adopting the right attitude, you can learn how to control it and of course, see them into fruition. So I wish you luck for your next job interview and I'll see you later, guys. Bye, everyone.